All right, we're live. All right, those of you that are here, I think we're good. Let me see, let me mute this. All right, I think this is how it's going to work. I'm going to move this guy over here to the middle. And then you guys let me know over there on the webinar side, on the chat box. Let me know and see where it is. I think we are live and we are good to go. All right. All right. All right. Hey, Caroline, glad to have you. Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for your patience as we get the technicalities worked out. We really appreciate it. And we're so glad that you're here. All right. Well, as we get started this morning, my name is Rocky Garza. For those of you that I have not had the pleasure to meet yet, it is an absolute joy to be able to spend this virtual time with you here. And so we're so glad and so thankful that you're here with us. A couple of notes: you will need a piece of paper and a pen or your laptop or whatever it is to take some notes. We got a few questions I have for you today, a couple of things that I want you to think about just as we begin to kind of dive into what does it mean to play offense specifically in these times of uncertainty. And so as we do that, make sure and grab that and get that going for you. There'll be a few things when we get wrapped up towards the end that I'm going to share with you, just ways that we can stay connected, the way that we can support you, and what we can do, especially over the course of the next 2, 3, 4 weeks, ideally no more than 4, right? The next 2 or 3, 4 weeks, what we can do to continue to support you, encourage you, and give you the opportunity to continue to grow, specifically in times where I think a lot of us, myself included, are going, hey, what does this look like with us right now? What are we supposed to do and how do we do that? And so here's what we're going to do today. The title of our talk today is Playing Offense in Times of Uncertainty, right? And I think a big part of that for me is this. There's a big phrase that's being used in a really beautiful way everywhere that says we have to practice social distancing, meaning we have to keep ourselves apart from each other for the good and the benefit of people everywhere, including ourselves. I think in that, though, sometimes what gets lost, just again, depending on who we are, how we feel, how we think, is in that is as I, for the context of our conversation today, is I want to change that away from social distancing. And the way that I want us to think about it today is I want us to think about physical distance, but social presence. Specifically as creative entrepreneurs, business owners, what does it mean for us to be physically distant, specifically those of us that are required to be in a face-to-face position with our clients in order to care for them, serve them, provide for them? How can we stay physically distant, but socially present in a way that potentially benefits us and it gives us the opportunity to generate revenue, and simultaneously, I think, continues to keep us top of mind in the ways that we were before with clients, specifically because we could be together in close physical proximity, okay? And so we're going to look at that in 2 ways today. We're going to break it down in 2 parts. Part number 1 we're going to look at is we're just going to go, what does it mean to be personally, socially present? Right? What does that mean for us as an individual? And then we're going to translate the second half of our time today. We're going to talk about then how do we stay socially present as a business or a creative or an entrepreneur? And how do we kind of use those 2 things to play well with one another? And ultimately, I think give us a sense of opportunity and freedom and ultimately a hope in at times what can feel a little disheartening in how we feel right now. And so I will say there's going to be lots of things that I would love to hear from you. So feel free. You can flood the chat box. It will not disturb me at all. I actually look forward to it. There's opportunities there to ask questions. You can throw those questions directly in the question box, and I believe it'll pop up and do that for us. If somebody wouldn't mind giving it a try over in the question box, if you have that, ask a question. I just want to see how it shows up on my end so I can make sure I'm prepared for that with you. And then we're going to get going. So again, thank you for the opportunity to be here with you and to share some time today. So, there it was. Question popped up. How are you this morning? Erwin, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. All right. I'm glad that it's there. Let's see. Great. Send answer. All right. So here's we're going to start first with what does it mean to be personally, socially present? Okay. Now, let me say this. So we're going to do our best today not to give disclaimers. We want to just say it how it is, allow ourselves to feel how we feel, believe how we believe. And so in that, but I do want to give one disclaimer. Okay. The one thing I want to say is I know that there is a variety of ways that many of us feel. I know that there's a huge variation. And even over the course of 24 hours for us as individuals, when we wake up, and sometimes we get up in the morning and we're feeling great and we're ready to go, and we read one email about a client who was canceled or rescheduled or moved, and that very easily, as it should, puts us in a position where we don't feel the same way by lunch, and then by the afternoon we have like the 3 o'clock lulls, and then so I say all that to tell you this, is I want to remind you, 1, you're a human being. Number 2, I want to remind you that we all need help, all of us. And that's not to say that because we're bad or broken or weak. I say that because we're human beings. We all need help. And so in that, I want to give us that consistency. I want to give us the opportunity to go, hey, we're all in the same boat. It's a good boat. All right. We all need help and we're all for each other, which is why we are here and which is why myself and why TX Studio is saying, how do we gather ourselves together to continue to provide a space that we can be energized, we can find hope, or even we just need to show up to know that we are not alone in the way that we feel. So let's jump into how do we play offense in times of uncertainty in order to remain socially present personally. So here's my very first question for you. I want to take a few minutes and write it down. It's just a very easy question. I just want to know, how do you feel? Okay, that's my first question for you. How do you feel? Now, as you're thinking about that, I want to remind you, at least from my perspective, there's two different things. One is feelings and one is emotion. I'm not asking about your emotion yet. I want to know, how do you feel? Okay, so I want you to think about your body. Kind of start at your head, work your way down to your toes. I want to know, how do you feel? Right? Some of us, we get feelings in 1 of 3 places, specifically in times of stress or anxiety. We get a feeling here like we ate a Sour Patch Kid. We get a feeling here like we have an apple stuck in our throat, or we get a feeling down here, right? You can't see it. That's my stomach. You get a feeling down here, and that's like you think you might throw up. Okay? We get feelings in 1 of those 3 places when we have a large rush of emotion. Others of us get tight stomachs. Others of us want to take a nap. So my question for you to start is, I just want you to ask yourself, take a minute, how do you feel? You got about 30 seconds. And for those of you that are feeling brave and frisky and want to throw your answers or responses over in the chat box, you are more than welcome to do that, and we will respond there as well. So how do you feel? And then if you feel like, hey, I got it, I know how I feel, it just hit me really quickly, great. Then I want you to draw a little line, and then next to how you feel, I want you to write, and what is the current emotion? Not overall, I mean today. We're just talking right now from 10 a.m. Central. How do you feel? But then what is the emotion attached to that feeling right now? I want you to write that down. Tired, same. Stuck, okay. What else? How do you feel? On Instagram, we have encouraged in a very rough season. Love that. Disappointed. Yeah, same. What else? How do you feel? And then when you're ready, you can come back on, share that. And then next to the feeling, I want you to put the emotion. What is the emotion that goes along with that? And some of you have done that already. Your feelings and emotions are kind of synonymous there. Caroline, disappointed. I think that's a feeling and an emotion too. And here's the deal. If it's a place where you're like, hey, I don't know, please write that. That's a very appropriate answer. Tired, related to being a little apathetic and not going to sleep last night at a good time. Same, Lisbeth. Same. And keep writing, keep sharing. And here's the reason that I asked this question as we start, because I think in order for us to be socially present, all right, in order for us to be able to be on the offense, it requires for us to have a very keen awareness of how it is that we feel as individuals, because I think it's going to lend us to our next part. That's going to lend us to part 2. Okay, so we've established 1, this is how we feel. And again, we're looking here, Grant, mentally exhausted. Yeah, I'm with you, stuck. Yes. So we've established our feeling right now. Okay, now what I want you to do is we're going to kind of go step 2 on this before we can get to playing offense in times of uncertainty. We have to be able to go, 1, how do I feel? Caroline, I read that article this morning. It was fantastic. Yeah, Caroline referenced, there's an article this morning that came out. We'll find it and we'll make sure that we share it. But it was talking about how right now, based on our feelings, that really a lot of the sadness that we feel could actually be classified as grief, and that we're grieving the loss of so many things that we thought we were going to have and don't have, along with, there it is. Oh, thank you. There it is. Thanks, Chelsea. It's a great article. Don't read it now. You're in the middle of a webinar. When we're done, follow up and read that. But it was beautifully written, and definitely I think resonates really deeply. And so that's even reading that to me was a really great encouragement this morning to go, that's why we're having this conversation and we're leading with, how do you feel? Because I think our ability to identify that is what's going to lend us to answer this next question. So question 1 was, how do you feel? And what's the emotion attached to that? Here's the second question I want you to ask, okay? And it has 3 parts. Question number 2 is this: what do you need? And it comes in 3 ways, okay? So it's actually a 3-part question. So overarching question, what do you need? and then kind of give yourself 3 bullet points underneath that for those of you that are taking notes. What do you need? And here's your 3 bullet points. I want to know, what do you need when it comes to how can people care for you? What do you need when it comes to care? How do you need to be cared for? And we're not going to go in this season. We're going to say today, right now, 10:14 a.m. What do you need when it comes to how people can care for you? The second bullet point in that is, what do you need to start? Meaning you have that thing, that thought, that feeling that I know that I have this, I just need to start. I have this, I've been thinking about this, I've been wanting this, and it can be related to business, related to person, exercise, taking a walk, taking a nap, whatever that is. What do you need as it relates to what to start? And then the third part is, what do you need to continue? What is something you have and are already doing that you now realize you want to continue to do? Okay, so I'm going to write those over here in the comments for those of you that are asking. So our question number 1 was, how do you feel? What is the emotion? Okay. Question number 2 was, what do you need? It had 3 parts. What do you need when it comes to care? What do you need when it comes to starting? And what do you need when it comes to continuing? All right, so that's where we are right now. Again, those of you that are prepared and are ready, as you think about it, give yourself a couple minutes. We're not in a rush. We're not going anywhere. We have nothing but time. So I want you to think about that when it comes to what it is, what do you need? Okay, what do you need? What do you need when it comes to how people can care for you? What do you need when it comes to what it is that you need to start? And what do you need as it is that what you need to continue that you have already started? Now, if you're at a place where you're like, hey, I feel stuck and I don't know where to start, it's okay. We're going to get to that kind of in part 2, especially as it relates to our work, our creativity, our business, and so on. We'll get to that part, but I'm not worried about business yet. I just want to know, you, the individual, you, the human being, you, the person, what do you need? And when you're ready, make sure and jump over and throw that over in the chat box if you want. What do you need when it comes to care, when it comes to starting, when it comes to continuing? What do you need? Now, you don't have to answer all 3 for us if you don't want to. You can just throw one in there. Love that. Healthy food, exercise or time outside, keeping tabs on loved ones, and staying connected with people. Yes. I'm going to go with your commas are representing part 1, 2, and 3. At least that's how I read it. What else? What do you need? And here's the other beautiful part of this. You have made the commitment to say that I'm willing to give at least an hour of my time to join a webinar on a Wednesday with other people and creatives who are all connected via the TX studio some way, somehow. And there's at least, let's see, there's we got about 25 total people watching here, right? And so we're part of what we're doing is we are continuing to build community. So write down what you need. You're going to write something down and someone else is going to go, hey, I do that. I can help with that. I'd love to serve you in that way. I'd love to participate in that way. So part of this is not just an exercise because I want to go like, hey, did you answer my question? Whether or not you answer the question doesn't have a huge direct impact on me as an individual. You answering the question, I think, is a huge amount of freedom it can provide for you. And simultaneously, I think it can provide the opportunity for somebody else to engage you in that way. So I want to provide that freedom to you. I want to provide that opportunity. You sharing gives somebody else a way to, 1, empathize and go, hey, we're in the same boat. And 2, I think an opportunity to engage in that way. So I just want to encourage you all, over the course of our time spent today, I just want to challenge you to continue to share, continue to talk, write things here for other people to see, because it gives us a way to connect when we're done. So question number 1 said, how do you feel and what is the emotion attached to that feeling, which is beautiful. Question 2, we then said, okay, in order for us to play offense in times of uncertainty, we have to know what we need. If we're going to be on the offense, now, let me phrase this for you, because I know not all of us are sports fans. Well, I'm not even really a sports fan at all, but Offense and defense is a sporting term. So let's break it down just really quickly, right? The reason we're saying playing offense in times of uncertainty, playing defense means that we are on a backward, on a reservation, on a scarcity, and what can we do to protect what I have and make sure that nothing else leaves and goes away. Now, I want to say one thing. That is an element of survival, which is a beautiful thing. So do not hear me say there are moments in which we are going to need to sit and rest, hold what we have, be grateful, be thankful, and not necessarily be constantly driving forward on the offense at all times. That's not sustainable. Okay. Some of us that have attempted to do that, that's why we feel exhausted and tired right now, is because we feel like we've been spinning our wheels, if you will. So my point is in order for us to play offense, though, is I think it requires for us to be able to say, what am I going to actively pursue? Even if that, and the rest can be something you are actively pursuing. It's called a nap. Do it. They're beautiful. Okay. What can we actively be pursuing in order for us to be on the offensive, as instead of consistently living in a place of defense where we are kind of hesitated kind of feel like we're on our heels going, how do I just keep from being hurt more? I want to say, I can tell you how you can potentially keep yourself from being hurt more. And that is to be able to communicate how you feel and what you need to those who are in a position to care and support you. Because I think if you have the ability to do that, what happens then is it gives us the chance to pursue, to engage, and to challenge one another, I think to provide a sense of care and unity in that same space. But it requires us to know how we feel and what we need so that we can be in pursuit of those things. Okay. And so that's why we're assessing it in these ways. So here's part 3. Part 1 said, how do I feel? Part 2 said, what do I need? And we broke that in 3 categories so we could be very specific about what we need. Now, the third part of this is, what can I do in order to play offense, knowing what I know from a personal perspective? If I'm going to remain socially present from a personal perspective, then what can I do to play offense in order to make sure that these things are being met? Okay, so here's some ways that I want to challenge and encourage you, right? And then Chelsea, if you don't mind, if you'll throw these in the comment box as we're chatting, that way we can make sure we have those there. So number 1, I think in order for us to play offense in times of uncertainty, it's going to require that we communicate what we need. Okay, now I'm going to go backwards a step. You guys have already done the work because you showed up today. Step 1, I would say, is we have to identify what we need, but that's what we're doing right now. Okay, so in order to play offense, in order to make sure that we are staying ahead, and when I say ahead, it's not a comparison to anybody else. I'm talking about what do we need to do in order to make sure that we are consistently moving in a direction that is heartfelt and a deep belief of ours. Number 1, we have to identify what we need, which is what we're doing now. Number 2, you have to make sure that you are communicating what you need to those around you. How can you reach out and communicate needs to those individuals? Does that make sense? And that's what I want you to do, is I want you to say, what do I need to do in order to reach out, to communicate? So that's part 1. How can you play offense? Reach out. Be willing to communicate what you need and trust that we are in this together. We are for each other and we want to support each other. Okay. Second part of that is, once you've communicated what you need, please, I want you to feel the confidence to ask for help. None of us are intended or are supposed to do this to get by ourselves. None of us. We're not going to make it that way. And so once you've identified what you need and you've communicated what you need, I want you to be willing to ask for help. If there's a way that we can support you, when we're done, I want you to shoot us an email, message us, text us, say, I need this in my life. And if we can meet that need for you, we want to do that. And I believe you want to do the same. That's why you showed up today. And so the next part of that is, I want you to be able to ask for help. And then I want you to think about yourself from a relational standpoint, okay? Because as we're talking about us as individuals, how are we going to play offense in times of uncertainty? How are we going to maintain or increase social presence? Is I want you to be mindful of what you need and how you feel. Use empathy, right? That's the ability to understand someone else, to be understand, to be understood, to go, how then can I reach out and communicate to someone else and let them know where I am at, what I am thinking, who I am, what they need, so that we can make sure. And it's more than, I believe, is some of us are in a position where a text message is all we've got. That's just where it's all we're feeling, as much as we can muster. Fantastic. Some of us need to text a friend and say, hey, do you mind reaching out to me every other day? Because I'm not feeling great. My heart is sad. Yes, tell me that. I want to do that. But I don't know that that's what you want or what you need unless you communicate that to me. and then vice versa. I think we have to be able to do that for each other. Does that make sense? So throw me an emoji, a thumbs up, a yes, I got it, and okay, something over in the chat box, just so that I know that you are there and we're on the same page together. But I think a part of us playing offense personally and to remain socially present for our end is we have to know how we feel. That's our job and our responsibility. Part two in that is that we have to be able to say, what do we need? And that requires work on our end to identify that, to say, what do I need to be cared for? What do I need what do I need to start? Meaning something I'm thinking or knowing or doing, and we'll cover that. And then what do I need to continue? What have I already begun that allows me to move forward? Then we go on offense and we say, what are we going to do now on offense? How are we going to do that? What's the next step that we're going to take? And we're going to come up with some general business ideas and throw some things out here in a second. We transition over to our creative side. But as we talk about it for this side is, maybe there's something you just need. Maybe you are someone who's always said, hey, I want to write, but I've never had the time. Guess what? Plenty of time. Maybe you're someone who said, I've had this idea and I've always wanted to create this thing. Time. Now, I understand. Some of us are like, hey, I want to create this thing. It requires 9 people, but I don't have 9 people. It's just me. It's time to get creative. But I think, Samson, sorry, that's my dog. But I think it requires for us to be able to say, what then, if I know how I feel and I know what I need, what am I going to do in order to be on the offensive, in order to say, as I reach out, as I ask for help, and so on. All right, here's the last thing when it comes to personally. Now, this is a way that some of us will resonate and some of us it won't, which is totally fine. But I want to encourage you like this. Many of us, even given the article we saw before, many of us are beginning to see and feel things that we have not for a while, because we have not been in a position, and we have not been in a position before where we've had the opportunity to sit idle long enough with any scenario to really dive deep into our feelings. And I don't say that as a knock to any individual. I'm saying that as a human trait. Okay. We are active. We are busy. We are full. We are working on things. We are doing projects. We haven't been in a position very often where we've been asked or even forced to sit idle long enough to address how we feel now. And a part of that is even that article about grief. A part of that is I think things are going to come up with us as individuals that potentially can give us the opportunity to, in order to play offense, specifically personally and relationally and being socially present, to go, there are some people in our lives that are going to benefit greatly from us to have the ability to reach out and say, hey, I just want to know if when I did this thing, I just want to ask for forgiveness. There are others of us that are the people who are hoping in this time we can reach out and we can begin to make amends with somebody else, because potentially we're hoping that we have the opportunity to forgive somebody else. Now, I know we kind of took a little bit of a right turn there, so stay with me. But I think as we understand more how we feel and what we need, I think a huge part and a huge opportunity we have right now is to go, what other relational aspects or relationships can we, should we, do we have the opportunity to engage in such a way that we never have before? And in those, what is actually required of us, and what opportunity do we have to make amends in that way? Some of us are the ones who need to make amends because we were the ones who did wrong. Others of us need to make amends because we realized it was just a relationship that died. Others of us have really great friends that we just haven't reached out to a long time because we've been really busy, which is true. And now maybe you are not. I think there is so much relational capital. And I know that's kind of a weird word, but I think there's so much relational capital in all of our lives that we lose sight of because either it didn't have a direct line to an invoice, or it didn't fit directly in what it is that we were doing. And I think in our ability to reach out and say, I want you to know I see you, I hear you, I think about you, I think provides an immense amount of not only of relational connection, but I also think provides an immense amount of opportunity when this thing settles. Right. And we're going to use this as a transition to kind of jump over to our business side for a second. And I want you to stay with me, because for those of you that know me, then this will resonate. For those of you that don't know me, I'm asking you to trust me. OK, I'm not saying this as a jerk, and I'm not saying this to try to be manipulative. That's not my intent. I'm saying this because I want you to begin to think this way. When the dust settles, those of us that were socially present, those of us that stayed physically distant, those of us that played offense when it came time in moments of uncertainty to say, how can I reach out? Every client you have, you need to message, text, reach out, Zoom call every one of them and say, I just want you to know I was thinking about you. One, because I believe if you're at that place and you're willing to do it, it's because you really do care about them. Now, it's not a manipulative thing. Now, we're also trying to play smart business, but it's not a manipulative thing. It's real. Also, do you have something you can do, show, or provide for them in a way? Even now, if it's just support, encouragement, letters, cookies. I know some people are weird about getting sent stuff, so maybe don't send me anything too weird. But whatever those things are, your ability to maintain social presence now means when the dust settles, the name they're going to remember, the person who they're going to know said that cared, the individual they're going to be able to say who cared about me, reached out to me, checked in on me, sent me a message, sent me cookies, wrote me a note, had their kids write me a letter that I couldn't read, but it was really fun because we got snail mail. And who does that? Because we don't have time to put anything in the mail anymore. And now you got nothing but time. If you don't got stamps, get some. You follow me? Our ability to maintain social presence, I think, is what's going to set the precedent for us when this settles, is we've consistently maintained not only relationships with people, but we've done it in such a way that was true to who we are. Does that make sense? You tracking with me? I want you to make sure that we're in a position that, yes, we are being asked to be physically distant. Our ability to play offense in times of uncertainty, though, is what's going to give us the ability to say, how do we maintain relational capital in those things so that we can consistently provide the opportunity to create deep engagement with other people? And we cannot do that unless we are willing to start by saying, how do I feel? And what do I need? And what can I do offensively in order to engage, not offensively, but offensively, in order to engage people in those ways so that when the dust settles, my name is remembered because of care, relationship, and connection, not because I was trying to do something, sell something, make something. I understand that it is difficult and hard. I am a creative. I've been an entrepreneur. I've been self-employed for the last 10 years. I'm married. I have 2 kids. We have an Airbnb and everything has been canceled for the next 60 days. We still have a mortgage to pay. Like, I am with you, okay? We're in the same boat together. And I am pleading with you. Know how you feel and know what you need and communicate those things and provide an offering to individuals, even if it's not directly in line with what it is that you do, because your ability to maintain social presence will give you the ability to not only stay engaged with yourself, but stay engaged with those individuals that are potentially going to be clients as we move forward and we move on. Before we transition to business, I want to give you a couple thoughts, questions. You can drop it over to the question box. You can throw it here down in the comment box, wherever that is. And to keep it real, because we all know that we're home, I'm going to let my dog out so he'll stop barking at us. Also, this is just a couple of minutes for everybody to take a deep breath, look at your notes, pause for a moment. Everybody feeling good? Give me a thumbs up or just an okay symbol if you're feeling good and you're ready to keep going. All right. So that is one half. That is one half of us being able to say, how do we play offense in times of uncertainty? How do we remain socially present in times of where we are asked to be physically distant? All right, hold on. We got a question here. Let's see. Bree said, so in balancing, I'm here for support communication with clients. How can I get them to open up more on what they need right now and take them, and right now they're keeping to themselves? Great. I think it's a great question. Okay. So here's my thought or my response to that. Okay. And so this will be something that I had a call yesterday and we chatted about this. So here's what I would say. Here's my thought or my question to you, or my opportunity I think that exists for you, Bree. So right now, the internet is our best friend. And there's a million things out there: Typeform, Jotform, SurveyMonkey. There's a million tools and resources out there. So here's my suggestion to you, specifically for your client. I think all of us can do that for our clients because the overlap is very minimal, if any. Go to Jotform. It's free. Okay. Go to Jotform, create a little thing. And I want you to say this. I want you to be able to say, make a form online, brand it, your logo, your name, whatever you want to do, and ask 5 simple questions. What's your first name? What's your last name? Email address, phone number. One small side, just good marketing. If you don't already have their email address and their contact information, you want to start collecting that now, good idea. Do that. After you collect that, ask 3 questions. Make it less than 60 seconds to fill it out. Number 1, just want to know, how are you feeling? Number 2, ask them, what do you need? If there was one way that I could help you, care for you, help you start something or continue something, what would that be? Take exactly what we're talking about now, put that into a form. And question 4, say, and if there was anything that we could do or that I could provide to not only provide you connection, opportunity, or freedom in what you're doing to set you up for success now and when the dust settles, what would that thing be? Send them a link, shoot them a text, say, hey, love for you to fill this out. As soon as they fill it out, bam, be ready. Immediately respond. I got your response. Thank you so much. Sit and process. What can you do? Then respond to their thing. I think a lot of us, when given the moment, we're unsure what to do when we get asked a question like right here, right now. And we're like, ooh, I don't know. What do I need? Money, a job. I think we end up on those kind of answers because those are things we like legitimately physically need. I think if we give some people some time to step back a little bit, I think it gives us a chance to do that. Does that make sense? So I think that's a simple, easy one, but I think that's a way for us to engage in that way. So that we give them a chance to sit, think, and respond. We gather those responses, and then we have data. Then we have things that we need. Then you can start creating content based on that data. You have 5 people that respond, and they all say they need the same thing. Guess what product you just started? Whatever that thing is they said that they need, right? I'm not a webinar guy. Never done a bunch of webinars. You know what I'm doing? Webinars. You know why? Because people are online. They're there, and I want to see their face. I feel like a gift I've been given is my mouth and my voice, so I want to do that. Does it pan out in the end? Nobody knows. Does it pan out today? I believe that it does. And right now it's showing me there's 25 to 30 people that believe it does too. And I want you to position yourself to be in the same way. All right. Then we had one comment from Instagram. It said, in what creative ways would you suggest to translate those ideas? You're just go. There we go. Yeah. So that same way. And I think we all have different ways and opportunities to do that. There's a million things or ways to do it. That's just one off the top of my head. So, all right. Hopefully that helps you. Yes, I did say I do believe it's Jotform. There's Typeform is a free one that's just really great. I think it's Jotform. It's even more broken down and simpler. It's a really great one to use. They're great. So I think the ability to kind of manage all those things together and go, how do we collect information? How do we do that? For just a resource, there's a great one I've been using lately called Superphone. We're going to talk about that later, and I'll give you some more details because I'm going to ask you to join. Hey. But we'll talk about that one a little bit. And if somebody wants to make a note, it's called Superphone. I'll tell you all about that here in just a few minutes. All right. So now let's jump over again. Keep asking questions. Keep throwing the comments. That helps me out a lot. It lets me know that you're here and that you're listening and that you didn't just put me on mute. So part 1 was how do we stay and play offense from a personal perspective. Part 2 is to go, how do we make sure we're going to play offense in times of uncertainty to make sure we're staying socially present from a business perspective. Okay. So here's what I want us to do first. I think in order for us to be able to do that, in order for us to be able to play offense from a business perspective, is we've kind of got to go back to the beginning or the root or the foundation is kind of the word I like to use to say, what is the root and foundation about who I am, what my business stands for, so that I know what I want to do and how to do that moving forward. Okay. So we're going to get fancy here for a second. And I am going to share my screen with you because what I want you to do first, here's the first question I have for you. It's going to get tricky just for a minute. So stay with me for those of you that are here. And I want to make sure, actually, we're going to leave it like this, even though it's not as attractive. So there's a comment, so I know that it's watching. Somebody throw a comment on the webinar to make sure that you can tell me that you can see my screen real quick, and I'll just watch when a new one pops up. So I want you to look at this list. And in order for us to start, great. In order for us to start, what I want you to do is I need you to pick two of these words. These are just core values. But this is for you as an individual and as a business. Okay, so if you're a sole proprietor, entrepreneur, creative, they should be almost one and the same. What you value should be a representation of what your organization values. Okay, for those of you that are on Instagram, let me flip this guy around, and I think I can show you the same list. Ooh, we're getting fancy here. There's the list for those of you on Instagram. So what I want you to do is I need you to pick two. Okay, we're going to use two because they'll give us. Actually, let's do three. We're going to get wild today. Pick three. You've got about a minute or two to choose these. I'm going to bring it back. I want to make sure. Okay, you can see it. So I'm going to give you a minute or two to look at these. And I want you to look at these values, and I want you to choose the three on here that you would say are the greatest representation, the foundation for why you do what you do. Okay, for who you are as an individual and as a business, as a creative, as an entrepreneur, as an employee, whatever it is. I want to know, what are the three things on here that resonate with you the deepest? Okay, what do you value most? And on Instagram, I see the comment you just made, and we're going to copy that and throw that over into the question box on the chat. And when we're done with our values, we'll answer that for you. Okay. So we got you there, and we see you, and I'll make sure that we answer that. Do you mind chatting on Instagram there who made that comment? Will you tell me your first name? A couple more minutes. Again, I need you to pick 3. What are the 3 words on this page that you would say resonate with you deepest as it relates to your business, your organization, your creative work, you as a person? That's a whole other workshop to think about and talk about core values, which we're going to do. We're only just going to hit the skim of the surface today. But I think it's really important for us to go into, as we talk about remaining socially present, we got to have a root and a foundation for why we're going to do the things that we're doing. Solving problems is great. Solving problems with heart all of a sudden is a massive solution. And so that's going to be the ways that we're going to try to translate that and do that. Michaela, awesome. Thank you. Let's do one more minute. I need you to pick 3. Okay. I need you to pick 3. What are the 3 things, the 3 values, the 3 things you would say you value most? Right now is where you get in your mind. You can just imagine like really great ambient music. That's what we're all listening to in our heads. Okay. About 15 more seconds. If you're not done yet, really, you just need 1. We did 3 just so we can give you a little bit more meat to chew on later on. Or tofu if you're a vegan. Tofu to chew on later by having 3. All right. So needed you to have chosen 3 there. Stop sharing. Let's come back over here. All right. So hopefully that's given you a little bit of idea. Hopefully you at least had an opportunity or a chance to choose 1. Ideally, we wanted you to choose 3, but if not, at least you chose 1. So here's what I want you to do just in the comment section. If you'll just throw those in there, those of you on Instagram, throw that over there. Just give us 1, 2, or 3. I want you to write that down. Let us know what are the things that you would say that you value most. And there's a rhyme and a reason, I promise. So part 1 is, what do you value? What do you value? Fun, joyfulness, unity. There we go. Thanks, Kristen. Generosity, joyfulness, vulnerability, dedication, fun, achievement, dependability, honesty. I love it, love it, love it. Ethical, excellence, genuine. Yes, learning, excellence, caring. Great, great, great. Free thinking. Thanks, Michaela. Integrity, Michelle, thank you. Dependability, helpfulness, integrity, Cody, thanks. Okay, so here's why we're doing this, right? Keep throwing those in there. If you haven't yet and you want to share them, we'd love for you to. And here's the reason we do this part first. As we're thinking about how do we remain socially present from a business perspective, from a creative perspective, and how do we play offense from a creative perspective, I think we have to start here. I think we have to be able to say, what is that we value most? What is the thing that us as individuals and as a business would say that we would say are the most valuable and important to us? They set the foundation for who we are. Perseverance, joyfulness, free thinking, gracious, excellence, dependability, helpfulness. What are those things that make that root, that make up that foundation? And the reason for that is because I believe we have to know and understand what this is if we're going to build anything substantial or sustainable on top of it. It has to be built on something that is foundational, that is solid, that is the root of who we are as individuals, and ultimately the thing that is driving the current that is driving our business, okay? And so we start here because I think values represent this. To me, values represent the why we do what we do. I want you to write that part down. They represent the why you do what you do, okay? I think they represent the care that you have for other individuals, and I think it represents the heart behind everything you're doing. I'm going to say that one more time. I think your core values represent the why you do what you do. I think they represent the care behind why you're doing it. And I think they represent the heart behind why it happens. It represents the why, the care, and the heart. Our ability to have this language now allows us to be able to say with confidence, well, why would I do that? Why do I want to do that? Why am I going to do this? Anything with the word why, it is driven from what we know we value most. And that's what these core values are. And we start there to talk about how are we going to play offense, because we got to have a driving force and a message behind what we're doing, right? If I were to answer this for myself, vulnerability, generosity, experience, intimacy, those are four of my values. And so for me, that's why I'm like, hey, write in the chat, write a question. Let me know what you're thinking. Because for me, experience and intimacy are really important. And because of experience and intimacy, that lends itself to vulnerability. Vulnerability, I believe, lends itself to generosity. That's not me making a statement about the world. That's me making a statement about who I am as an individual. And so that's why for me, it's valuable to go, hey, I want you to get this out and I want you to see it and say it, because I don't think we can hear ourselves when we talk to ourselves. I think we have to get it out of our mouth in order for us to hear it. And typically we have to say it to somebody else in order for it to really be heard, if that makes sense. So for us to be able to start here is I want us to go, what do we value most? Great. We have this language so that if we're going to play offense from a business perspective, we're going to get creative. We're going to think of ways we haven't before. What does that look like and what are we going to do? Well, that means that we're going to be able to say, what is that built on? What's that foundation? What's the root of that? What's the part of that that is the most powerful and the most meaningful? That's what we're doing here. So part one was, what do you value? You have that. Now, when it comes to our business or our creative endeavor, our as an entrepreneur, as an employee, the second part of this is the question I want you to answer is this: how do I serve and encourage others with my skill set? Okay, so I'm gonna write that over here in the comment. How do I serve, encourage, and support others with my skill set? So part one was going, what do you value? We've given ourselves a foundation to go, what's going to be the driving force behind why we're doing? And now we're doing is we're transitioning over to the how are we going to do that? So if we know why we're doing it, Amy on Instagram, we know why you're doing it. Genuine is something you value, which means it's got to be a representation of who you are as an individual. It can't be fake. It can't be false. It's got to be something that is real and personal. Great. Michelle, it's got to have deep integrity. Michaela, an element of free thinking. Doug, an element of graciousness, but also a level of excellence in what we're doing. I love those two things and how they play together. Bettina, an element of free thinking. Cody, dependability and helpfulness. Grant, an element of learning. Erwin, dedication. Caroline, generosity and joyfulness. Kristen, fun and unity. Again, those are the why we're doing it. What I want you to do now is to transition to the second part of that to go, well, then how would I serve or remain socially present in order to care, serve, and encourage other people based on my skill set? So the second part of that question is, you got to know what your skill set is. And I'm not talking just about your creative talent. That is a huge part of it, but that's not what you are limited to. If you are a photographer, your skill set is not just photography. You have the ability to, I believe, connect deeply with other people. You have the ability to create a representation of potentially how we feel and put that in such a way using light and 3 factors of aperture and ISO and shutter speed in such a way that you capture an image that allows us and helps us understand how we feel and your ability to do that. Maybe you're a portrait photographer, but maybe it's time to do some self-portraits. Maybe you're a portrait photographer and you're like, I don't really take much of other things else, and you just need to hit the streets by yourself, 6 feet away from everybody else, of course, and you need to find that in a way to say, show, and communicate what it is that you're feeling in a way that you can from somebody else. Maybe there's a project you've been wanting to start. Maybe there's something else that you've wanted to be doing. Maybe you're a filmmaker and you have the ability now to shoot things in a way that you couldn't before. Potentially you are a writer. Potentially you are, and now let's go to service industry because it gets a little more tricky, right? Potentially you are somebody who is an event coordinator, or you work in events, or you work in the event industry, and there ain't no events happening because we're not getting together. Great. How can you put on, let's see, it was last Saturday. I can't think of his name, DJ Slim something. Went on Instagram, did an Instagram live for 9 hours, played music. There were like over 1 million people who watched it, and tons of famous people were on there watching it, and went in and went out because he took his skill set and said, how do I serve and encourage others? I'm going to get on and do my thing for anybody who wants to participate for 9 hours straight. DJ Nice, thank you. Could not think of it. Right? How then do we do that? I think it has to start, though, with your ability to be able to say, 1, why? What do you value? Number 2, what is your skill set? And how do you use that to serve and encourage other people, potentially in a way that you haven't done that before? I know it is different. I know it's difficult. My most number one thing that I love is face-to-face, human-to-human interaction. I think that's where I am best. Guess what I cannot do right now? I cannot get face-to-face with anybody in the same room but my own family. And my wife is tired of me taking her through workshops. And my son is like, Dad, I don't know what a workshop is. I'm out. So then we have to get creative to go, how do I use my skill set? How do I use my strengths in a way to encourage and serve other people based on the driving force behind that, which is what you value, right? Third part is this. And what does your business want or need to say? I'm going to write that again. What does your biz want / need to say? So, number one, what do you value? We've established that. Number two, how do you serve and encourage others based on your skill set specific to you? And I'm not talking about just your creativity or your ability to be creative. I'm saying, how do you specifically use all the skills that you have in a way to engage other people, right? Bettina, if there was ever a time for us to find a way to engage Perfectly Good News, Lord have mercy, it's right now. Okay. So I don't know what that looks like. I don't know what that means, but I'm telling you, I thought about it twice yesterday. Like, I just need something that doesn't feel like it's going to just shove me to the ground. Perfectly Good News came to mind twice, right? We've talked about that before. How can we do that and put that together? How can we use that? How can we take our thing? And then ultimately, what does your business want and need to say? Let me rephrase that in a way, maybe some more personal. What do you want and need to say? What do you want and need to say? And if your answer is, I don't know, great. I think it's a great answer. Figure it out. What are you driven by? What is your skill set? How do you want to serve and encourage other people? And then what is it that your business wants or needs to say? And how can you be the person who is going to translate and communicate that message? Read an article on Forbes yesterday that engagement on Facebook is up 50% from normal. 50%. You know how many people that is? They say that the engagement from Facebook on getting individuals news, clicks, and information to a specific website is up 65%, or meaning people are not going to that directly from a link to an article. They are going from Facebook to things, Facebook first, not Google, Facebook first, and then they're clicking on something else to do that. It's up 65% than it was before. Post something, share something, say something. Now, don't just say anything. People don't want to hear anything. People want to hear from you. They want to know why you're doing it. They want to know what skill set you have and how you're going to serve and encourage them. They want to know what is it that you want or need to say, and how are you going to say that? That's what we want. That's why all of us are here. And I believe more than the average population, the reason you're here is because you're going, hey, how do I make sure I can play offense when it comes time in moments of uncertainty? So I'm willing. You've already started to play offense. You said, I'm going to join the webinar. I'm going to listen to a guy's dog bark in the background while he talks to me with a hat on and massive eyebrows. I know who I am. I'm owning myself. Okay. That's fine. So you're already there. So now what we're going to do is let's put the whole thing together. Okay. Stay with me. Somebody, I guess, if you don't mind, as I'm going to try to say this slowly enough, will you just try to quickly type it in the comments so we can see it all together? Because I'm not smart. I don't have the ability. My skill set is not talking and typing at the same time. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to go like this. Here's the reason we did it in this order. I believe for us to stay socially present while physically distant, to play offense in times of uncertainty, specifically as creatives, entrepreneurs, and business owners. Here's what I think you have to do. Here's our process. You ready? Stay with me. Get your pen ready. If you're not, you can hit it. I'm gonna go slow. Step one, how do you feel? What is the emotion attached to that? Step one, how do you feel? Every day, every moment, every time you wake up, after lunch, after a meal, ask yourself, how do you feel? Then ask this, what do you need? How do you feel? What do you need? 3 parts to that. What do you need when it comes to being cared for? What do you need when it comes to what do you need to start? And what do you need when it comes to what do you need to continue? Okay. What do you need? What do you need when it comes to care? What do you need when it comes to what do you need to start? And what do you need when it comes to what you need to continue? Part 4 is, and then where can I go on the offense to make sure that I am communicating my needs, I am sharing my needs, and I am making sure that other people know where I am at and what I am doing on those things. Okay? Does that make sense? We start there. How do I feel? What do I need in these 3 ways? And how can I be on the offense to make sure that I am pursuing and reaching out with asking for help, for forgiveness, making amends, giving encouragement? What are those things? And how do I go on the offense from a personal perspective to stay socially present? When we know that and we see that, then it allows us to transition to now think, what does that mean for me and my business? What does that mean for me and the things that I'm doing? Great. Let's talk about that. Number 1, what do you value most? What is driving you? What is the why? What is the reason, the heart, the care behind what you're doing? So part 4 now, or part 1 of business, however you want to look at it, is what do you value? Identify what you value. Identify the driving force. Then go, how do I serve and encourage others based on my skill set being driven by my values? I know why I'm doing it. So how? How can I do that? I, Rocky Garza, can do that with my mouth. So you know what? You're going to see me everywhere. I'm sending you text messages. I'm sending you videos. I'm doing free community calls. I'm doing webinars. I'm sending stuff to teams. You got a team and you want to help, shoot me a text. We got a platform for teams. I'm telling you, I'm trying to get myself everywhere. Because when the dust settles, I want you to remember my name. Not because I was a hero, because I was willing to go, what do I really value? Vulnerability, generosity, experience, intimacy, trust. And how do I allow that to be driven by my skill set, the things that I love, what I do, that I can use to create opportunities for us to engage in a way that we couldn't before? Part 6 or part 3, however you want to look at it. And then what does my business want or need to say? What does my business want or need to say? I want to tell you, my business wants and needs to say that we all need help, that we're not in this alone, that we absolutely have to have each other. And so in the midst of being physically distant, my plea to you is to not get lost. Don't get lost in the physical distance and get lost socially distant as well. Don't get lost in the connective distance. Don't get lost in the empathetic distance. Don't get lost in the vulnerable distance. Stay socially present. I'm using the word social as in connection. Stay connective presence. Okay? I'm not talking about social media or being an influencer when I say socially present. I'm saying socially being a connection with other human beings. How do you feel? What do you need? And what can you do? And then why are you doing it? And what is your skill set? And what do you want to say? And then go on the active. Have connective presence. Be willing to engage. Be willing to dive deep. Be willing to participate. Is it going to have all the answers? No. Are we going to solve every problem? No. Do you have the ability to create a lasting impact far beyond this, though? Yes. And do I think it has the ability to create significant impact in your business moving forward? Yes. And do I think potentially it's going to keep us alive because we need one another? Yes. Does that make sense? I don't want you to feel like you're doing this alone. Love that. Connectivity goes beyond business. Love that. I'm tweeting that later so you know. Except I don't have Twitter, so I can't tweet it. But if I did, I would tweet that, Erwin. All right, we've got about 3 more minutes. And so what I want to do is any other last thoughts or questions you have, throw them out there. Not that I have an answer for you, but I have full of opinions. So I don't always have answers, but I always have opinions. And Michaela, I saw here, says, what systems or strategies do you practice to make sure your purpose and idea translates to the audience? I feel like sometimes we have great intentions, but the idea doesn't reach the audience. Right, I agree. I think grace, that's my answer. What system do I use? Grace. Try it, do it. So some of it's going to flop and you're going to be like, oh man, that is not what I was trying to say. No harm, no foul. Guess what? Go on and say, hey, that was not what I was trying to say. This is what I'm trying to say. Do it again. I'm offering a webinar every Tuesday at noon. Is it going to translate? Some people are like, bro, if I see another link to a webinar, I'm going to throw up. Great. They're not going to be on then. And that's just not, it's just not what it is. But I'm going to keep going. Okay. And so I think the system and strategy is go back to what we did in part 2. What do you value? What is your skill set? And what do you want to say? Do that. Do that consistently. I think you're going to be golden. Do that consistently. I think you're going to work out. All right, we've got about 2 minutes left. We got 2 minutes on Instagram. It's gonna end for us. So a few things I want to tell you this, and then I'll stay on. If you're on Instagram, we're gonna do a little bit of Q&A when the Instagram live dies. You can hop over, click the link to the webinar if you want to join, because we'll do a little bit of Q&A there. But lastly, I want to tell you this. I would love to continue to support and engage you. I'd love to be able to continue to do what I can to help you through this time. Not because I have answers, but I think I can provide a space for you to help create some opportunity to engage. And so I want you to do this. And Doug, and I guess if you'll throw this in the comments for me, if you want to engage, we have an online platform called Be Known. We have online coursework dedicated to understanding who you are, clarity of self, building confidence, and creating meaningful relationships, along with live webinars and along with live calls every Friday, every week for the next month. So all you have to do is send me a text message to 469-649-8441. I'll say that again, but slower this time. That's 469-649-8441. And all you got to do is just text and say, I want to join, and we'll take care of the rest. Thank you so much, Chelsea, for doing the webinar. Send us a text message to that phone number. Say, I want to join. We'll send you a link. You can sign up. You'll get your online profile. You'll join it all together. And we'll make sure that we get you on the platform and get you taken care of in that way. We'd love to do whatever we can to support you. If you have a team or you work for an organization and you want that, then text us the same thing and we'll send you an email today. It's rocky@rockygarza.com. Shoot me an email and we'll make sure that we get your team set up for your business in the same way that we're doing for individuals. We have the same thing set up for teams as well. So those of you on Instagram, thank you so much for joining us. So grateful for your time. Thank you for sticking in there for your questions. Anything we can do to help, send them. Never hesitate to reach out to me, reach out to TX Studio, and thank you guys so much for having me. Have a great day, Instagram. All right, for those of you that are here still on the webinar, I appreciate that. Hopefully you got that information as well. It was giving me a countdown clock over there on the grams, and so I didn't want those people to miss out. And so same thing for those of you here. We'll spend a little bit more time. I've got about 5 to 10 more minutes. So any other thoughts or questions that you have, feel free and throw them in the comments or in the question box. Or if you're like, hey, man, it sounds good. It was great. I'm done listening to you talk to me for an hour. I'm about to roll out of this thing. Then you can feel free and do that as well. I greatly appreciate your time and effort. TX Studio, thank you so much for having me here and giving me the opportunity to engage and share. Let's see, Bettina said you were going to mention another tool. Oh, Superphone. That's what I was going to tell you about. Thank you. I'm so glad you said that. Yes. So Superphone, you can just look it up and see. Basically what Superphone does is it gives you the opportunity to create and it's greatly priced. It gives you the opportunity to create a phone number, which is the number that I just gave it to you. That's the 469 number that's there that Chelsea wrote. It gives you the opportunity to build your own local phone number. It gives you that number, and then you have the ability to create a little form. If you guys that are going to reach out and text, even if you just want to try it, you can shoot us a text message and see how it works. It'll give you your own phone number. You'll log into their online web platform. There's also an app for your phone, and that it's a real live number. You send people a text, they text you, so it's not your personal number, but then it gives you the ability. We send a text message every morning called the Daily Rock, where it's a part of encouragement challenge of some sort to get you going, get you thinking a little bit of introspection or movement every day. And so that phone number gives you the ability to do that, to stay engaged with folks. So you can text people as often as you want every day. You can text them once a week. Really think of it as like a text message replacement for MailChimp, except that it's two-way. So anytime anybody sends me a text, I text them right back, and we can have a dialogue that way, as long as being able to send updates. So it's been really great to stay engaged with all my clients. It's been really great to stay engaged with individuals and friends, to be able to communicate things, to share things, to send links to webinars, to send links to community calls. It's a really, really great tool. So for those of you that are interested or want to get people on that, yes, all text through the app. Yeah. So all texts go through the app, and the app is on your phone or via the web. So you just get a notification, you go in, and it looks just like iMessage, except it's black and gold instead of blue and green. But it's a really, really great tool. So, and if you want to see how it works, shoot us a text message. We'll show you. All right. Anything else? Any other thoughts or questions? Again, I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for having me. TX Studio, you guys are awesome. Make sure and check out the other webinars. They have a bunch of really, really, really great and talented folks coming up in the next few days and things that they're doing. And so I want to make sure you don't want to miss those. I appreciate your time, your effort, your energy, your ability to stay and be engaged. Again, never hesitate to reach out if you would like. We would love for you to be able to care for you and support you in that way. All right. So don't forget, shoot us a text message. Let us know how we can help. If you have a team, we want to support your team as well. All right. Have a good one. Thanks so much, and hope you guys have a great day.